I'm Cheryl Marks Young. One of the topics I wanted to talk to you about this week is something that has come up a lot, and people have spoken with me about this in growing their businesses. And it is about authentic and ethical networking and relationship building. And you might question authentic, ethical relationship building. Isn't that what sales is all about? Isn't that how we grow our business? And how do I not be salesy about it? The answer to all of that really depends upon how you approach it and what your business needs. If you're selling a product, sometimes you really are having a conversation about, hey, here's this great thing that I make or that I sell, and I want to tell you about it. And sometimes that can feel salesy. And then there's this other part of business that we have, which is building relationships. And people know if you're trying to build a relationship with them, if you're calling them and saying, hello, hey, I just want to get to meet you and I want to hear all about you, they can hear behind the question and the approach. If it is simply with an agenda of, hey, my next sentence is I'm going to sell to you. How many of us, and guilty as charged, how many of us are going out there trying to build relationships and we're sending email campaigns? And we ourselves, if we received those campaigns of, hey, I just want to connect, and the next sentence is, and let me tell you about this, it can come across really with an agenda. It can come across a little bit like, hey, you really don't want to know about me. I've seen your type before. The next question you're going to ask me is, will I buy from you? That's really not what authentic and ethical relationships and networking are all about. The reality is, you want to go out and really build relationships. You want to sit next to someone, you want to talk to them, you want to listen more than you speak, you want to find out about them, and you want to see if you can help them. You want to serve. So, to be of service, to be helpful, to engage in a conversation that is meaningful, so that at the end of the day, you may or may not do business directly with that individual. You will have made a positive impact. You may just be top of mind for them when they think of something and say, hey, that person has a really good idea. And let me give you a little bit of a story in that I do believe there's no mistakes in where we wind up, right? So I am an introvert. I know some people have a hard time figuring that out. I'm an introvert. I speak in public. I speak all the time. I run groups. I run Vistage groups. I run mastermind groups. I speak in front of crowds. One thing I do, though, for myself, because I have to take care of myself first so that I can then take care of everyone else, is I try to arrive at the location early. If it's a conference and I'm speaking on a panel, or I'm speaking a little bit later in the day and the conference starts early, I show up early and I start talking to people. I sit down next to complete strangers. I ask if I can sit down and I start asking them about them. I am genuinely curious. I really, really am. For some of you, you know that I'm a master connector. And so I start generating ideas and listening for what they're saying. How can I help them? Who can I introduce them to? What am I hearing? What story are they telling? And just creating a framework for myself. 9 times out of 10, that person sitting next to me starts talking about something that they need help with, or that someone they know needs help with. Now, I'm not here to sell you a product. I'm not here to sell you anything. And that moment, I'm taking care of me by creating relationships in the space, by having friendly faces, hopefully, in the audience when I do speak, so that I'm not talking to strangers. I'm talking to friends. And Granted, we haven't been friends for 50 years. We've been friends maybe for 15 minutes before I got on the stage, but people remember that. People will call you. People will feel comfortable asking a question. They will see you as a resource. They will also realize that there was no mistake that you connected with them that day because they spoke about something and you had an answer for them, or you had a solution, or you had a suggestion, or sometimes you were just that friendly face in the audience that they needed to see, or that extra person who then you were able to have someone to sit next to at the next step in the conference. So you weren't totally alone. So it is about authentic, ethical community building. Why do I say ethical? Ethical in the sense of don't sell first, don't tell first, ask, learn about who they are, be genuinely interested. The other ethical piece is in a recent panel discussion that I participated in with the New Jersey State Bar Association for the small and solo practice division. We spoke about the ethics of how you are allowed to speak about yourself as a law firm, that there are certain things you're not allowed to say. You're not allowed to say on your website or in your conversation. There's really rules about this, that you're the best, that you're the best at this. Your clients can say it about you, but you are not allowed to advertise that way. There's standards, even for the International Coach Federation, for all of us that are certified coaches. There is an ethics standard. We are, as coaches, supposed to put the client agenda first, not our agenda, the client's agenda. And we are supposed to, in every conversation we have, recontract that agenda. That may sound a little strange, but we're supposed to double check. We're supposed to say, is that where you're still heading? If we hear something, and I do this just in regular conversation, if I'm speaking to someone and they say to me, I want to do this, and then 5 minutes later, they start talking about doing something other than that, but they were asking for help with that. So you see them put their vision out there and then veer off the path right in the same conversation. I will stop them and say, hey, I'm really curious. You said you wanted to do this, but everything you're telling me is making you do this other thing. Are you still really wanting to do that first thing that you said? I just want to make sure that I'm following you the way that you want me to follow the conversation. It's sometimes that we think as business owners, we're solving the problem that we think we see, but then another problem is easier to solve. So we veer off to the easy one and then we never come back, right? So as people who are getting to know other people and we're networking and we're building authentic relationships, that's one way to build that, is to really say to somebody, hey, I'm here with you. I hear you. I'm listening. And allow them to speak first. And then over time, you will begin to both share about what you each do in business. And then it will be natural about networking and talking about business and seeing who you know. But to really go at it from a conversation of, hey, may I sit here? May I learn about you? Who are you? And then listen to them so that you hear their story. Be of service. See where you can help them by making an introduction, making a suggestion. Offering to help is really the best way to start to build that relationship. See where the boundaries are with that person. Maybe they just don't want to be part of a conversation. And if they just say, hey, I'm good, I'm going to move on, go find someone else to sit next to and talk to them, right? It's not about let me collect as many business cards as I can. It is about creating quality relationships one at a time. So if you're going into a conference or you're going into a networking space, instead of saying to yourself, how many business cards can I hand out? How many business cards can I collect? Start to think about how many quality connections can I make? It might be one, it might be two, it might be three. I left a conference recently with 90 people. I walked away with two business cards, one pen, and one person who wanted to buy one of my books. And I honestly said to her, you would do better to connect with me on LinkedIn. And instead of buying a book that I wrote 5 years ago, which I love you for wanting to buy a book, but instead of spending the money on the book, read more of my current information that might be more relevant for you. And it's right there on my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to reach out and let's connect and let's continue the conversation that we're having. And I appreciate you wanting to buy the book, but the book isn't really going to it's not going to help you. It's not relevant for what you're looking for. And I just loved that she wanted to reach out that way and help me by doing that. But the best way that I can help her is give her the relevant information that she needs now and make it about her, make it about building that relationship. So I now also have that. Um, so that's where I am with authentic, ethical relationship building, networking. Build your brand in this way, however you want to define your brand, right? Mine is approachable, authentic, relationship builder, master connector, helper of service for everybody that I encounter. What's yours? I would love to continue this conversation with you and hear more about how you build your network, how you create that community that is going to help you make your business bigger, better, and how you're going to help the community around you build their lives, their businesses bigger, better, the way that they want to. Thank you for listening.